All right, let's dive right in. We've got just a few minutes to talk about something huge, your fundamental rights under the Nigerian Constitution. And listen, this isn't some dusty old legal document. No, this is your personal shield. So let's get into it.
Okay, I want you to think about this for a second. What if, right now, you were arrested? It's a scary thought, for sure. But in that critical moment, would you know the three most important rights that immediately kick in to protect you? Think of them as your personal shield. We're going to break them down.
So let's talk about that shield. The Constitution is literally designed to protect you. And today we're zeroing in on three massive pieces of that shield. Section 33, which is your right to life, Section 34, your right to dignity, and Section 35, your right to personal liberty. Honestly, these three are the bedrock of your protection as a citizen. First up, let's talk about the big one, Section 33, the right to life. I mean, it's the most basic protection, right? If you think about it, without this right, none of the others even matter.
So what does that actually mean for you? Well, the Constitution puts it pretty plainly. Every single person has a right to life. The key words there are intentionally deprived. It means no one can just decide to take your life. It can only happen under very specific, legally defined circumstances. Your life is literally protected by law.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. This right is a direct shield against some of the worst things you can imagine. We're talking about things like extrajudicial killings, mob justice, unlawful police shootings, all of it. This section of the Constitution is meant to be a hard stop against that kind of violence. Okay, but are there exceptions? Yes, there are, but they are super specific and narrow. The law says your life can't be taken arbitrarily, but it does allow for it in cases like carrying out a court sentence or for self-defense or to stop a riot. But here's the crucial part. The force used has to be necessary and proportional. That means using the least amount of force possible. Anything more than that, that's illegal.
All right, so your life itself is protected. But what about how you're treated? Your basic humanity? That brings us to the second piece of our shield, Section 34, the right to dignity. This one is all about making sure that no matter what the situation, you are always treated like a human being.
And the way it's defined is so simple, but so powerful. Every individual is entitled to respect for the dignity of their person. Basically, the Constitution is screaming from the rooftops, you cannot treat anyone like an animal. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've been accused of.
In Section 34, it gets really specific about what's not allowed. It's a total ban on torture. We're talking beatings, starvation, anything like that. It forbids inhuman treatment. It bans degrading punishment, like parading someone in public to humiliate them. And of course, slavery and forced labor are completely outlawed. These are non-negotiable red lines.
Okay, so you've got the right to life and the right to dignity. What's missing? Freedom, right? That brings us to the third part of our shield, Section 35, the right to personal liberty. This is your defense against being detained or locked up for no good legal reason.
So what's that all about? It's simple, really. You have the right to move freely. You can't just be thrown in jail arbitrarily, just on a whim. If someone is going to take away your freedom, they have to follow the letter of the law. There has to be a legitimate legal reason for it.
So how does this actually work in the real world? Well, while you have the right to liberty, it's not absolute. An arrest can be lawful, but only under specific conditions, like if there's a reasonable suspicion you committed a crime, or there's a valid warrant, or they need to stop a crime from happening. And that word, reasonable, is so important. It can't just be a feeling or a hunch. There has to be some actual basis for it.
But check this out. Even if an arrest is totally lawful, your rights don't just disappear. In fact, a whole new set of protections kicks in the second you're arrested. You have the right to be told right away why you're being arrested. You have the right to stay quiet and call a lawyer. And this one is huge. They can't just hold you forever. You have to be brought before a court in a reasonable time, which usually means 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, so that's the theory. That's what the book says. But what happens when this stuff plays out on the street? When your shield is really put to the test? How do you know when a right is actually being violated?
Let's get into a real-world situation. You've probably seen this on TV. Police parade suspects in front of cameras, making them hold signs that say armed robber or something similar, way before any trial has even started.
So, is that legal?
No way! It's a clear violation of human dignity. It's degrading, and it completely tramples on the idea that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Or how about this one, which is even more serious? A suspect is beaten in custody to try and force a confession out of them.
Well, the law is crystal clear on this. That is unconstitutional torture. It's a massive violation of Section 34. And any confession they get that way, it's totally illegal, it's unreliable, and it can't be used in court, period.
This brings us to a huge myth that we really need to shut down. You hear people say it all the time. Oh, if you're guilty, you don't have any rights. That is completely 100% false. Here's the fact. The Constitution protects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're guilty, innocent, or somewhere in between. These rights apply to all people.
And here's another one we need to bust. The myth that the police can just hold you for as long as they want. Nope. The fact is, a clock starts ticking the moment you're detained. If they hold you for more than 48 hours without taking you to court, that's unconstitutional.
So, knowing your rights is one thing, but knowing how to actually use that shield is the real game changer. So let's wrap up with a quick, practical guide on how you can protect your rights peacefully.
Okay, if you're ever in a situation where you're being arrested, your #1 goal is to stay safe. So first, remain calm. Second, don't resist violently. It almost always makes things worse. Third, politely but firmly ask, why am I being arrested? And fourth, try to get the officers' names and which station they're from. That information can be incredibly important.
And what if you are detained? You need to act fast. Immediately say, I want to speak to my lawyer. Insist on your right to call your family and tell them where you are. And try your best to keep a mental log of everything. What's happening, what time it is, who you're talking to. Those details are absolutely crucial.
So there you have it. Your rights to life, dignity, and liberty. They're all right there, guaranteed on paper. But that leaves us with a final really important question. What's it going to take to make sure these rights are guaranteed not just in the Constitution, but on the street for every single one of us?